The sounds of cars, the advertisements on colorful neon screens, and the footsteps of pedestrians all blend together to form the music of the metropolis of Eterna, a city without day or night, filled only with artificial lights and people with smiles that hide the weariness within. In the vast crowd, Taidy, a 28-year-old woman, works as an advertising designer for a global company. Her life seems perfect. She's hardworking, famous on social media, has many followers, and a smile that everyone adores. Taidy, thinking to herself, "Every day is the same, but I have to keep smiling. The whole world is watching."
Taidy walks past an LED screen, displaying her own face from an advertisement. She smiles at the image, but in the reflection of the building's glass, there are faint cracks, like shattered glass. Every time she laughs on camera, a sound in her heart is like a thin pane of glass cracking, one line at a time. Taidy, muttering to herself, "Was it really worth it?"
One night, as she walked back to her room past the brightly lit, luxurious shopping mall, a homeless old woman sat by the roadside amidst the dazzling lights. The old woman had strange eyes, reflecting the light like flames in water. In this city of artificial happiness, the whispers from the shadows were the only things that remained true. The old woman said softly, "When you are happy, cast the spell, it arises, it exists, it ceases. Otherwise, you will suffer more than anyone else in this city." She chuckled softly, thinking it was just the absurd rhetoric of a homeless person. Taidy said, "A spell? Sounds like a new commercial, Grandma." The old woman smiled mysteriously. "Some spells are not created to be sold, but to warn."
A few days later, Taidy's advertisement was selected as Advertisement of the Year. On a giant screen in the metropolis of Eterna, Taidy's face was beautifully displayed. She stood amidst the crowd shouting her name. The lights reflected in her eyes, but there was a quiet stillness in them. In just a few days, her name became a symbol of success. Everyone knew her, everyone talked about her, but no one knew what she was hearing in her heart. Colleagues, "Taidy, you're amazing! The whole city is talking about you." Taidy, smiling softly, "Thank you. Just seeing my name on the screen is like a dream." Colleagues, this isn't a dream anymore. It's real fame.
Inside a fancy coffee shop, Taidy sat receiving compliments on her phone. The notification sound was incessant. The faces on the screen all had the same smile, a smile that looked strangely stiff. Many voices of praise echoed throughout her world, but amidst the noise, there was one voice that was soft and familiar. A voice in her head. "Don't forget to cast the spell." Taidy, frowning, muttering to herself, "Again, that spell?" She put down her phone, looked out the window, and saw her reflection in the mirror. Her smile wasn't the same as the one on the advertising screen. That night, she stood in the middle of the busy street. The bright streetlights illuminated her face. People walked by. The city noise was unbearable. She took a deep breath and softly chanted a spell. "Arise, exist, cease." Suddenly, all sounds vanished. Every light in the city went dark. Only the sound of her breathing remained. A second of emptiness. Then everything came back on, as if nothing had happened. At that moment, the entire city stopped, as if breathing with her. And then everything returned to normal, as if it had never happened. Fame brings wealth. Taidy buys a luxury condo, a new car, walks in fashion shows, and becomes a brand ambassador for famous brands. Inside an opulent penthouse overlooking the city at night, Taidy stands surrounded by designer brands. A brand new sports car gleams in the parking lot below. Neon lights from the buildings across the street shine through the windows,
filling the room with a golden glow. Taidy, talking to himself, looking around at his belongings. Why do I still feel empty when I have everything? In the middle of the night, Taidy slept soundly, yet a dream unfolded before her. She walked in a vast, golden room. Everything she touched turned to golden dust, dissolving into thin air. She screamed, but no sound came out of her mouth. The old woman from that night appeared in the golden mist, wisping lightly like smoke. In this unreal, blinding dream, everything she touched became intangible, leaving only unheard sounds. Old woman, faint, gentle, yet powerful. The spell wasn't to escape pleasure, but to remind us that nothing lasts forever. Taidy, trying to scream through tears. I heard it. Early in the morning, sunlight filtered through the thin curtains. Taidy stood in front of the mirror, murmuring the spell she had heard in her dream. The mirror trembled, reflecting the light in a shimmering ripple like waves. In the reflection appeared another woman, one who looked like her, but with eyes that were weary beyond her years. Sometimes what we see in the mirror is not a shadow, but a truth we dare not look directly at. Taidy, arising, existing, ceasing. The woman in the mirror, smiling faintly in acceptance. You are beginning to understand. The company organized a grand celebration. The large ballroom was adorned with sparkling chandeliers, soft jazz music played in the background, and elegantly dressed people stood holding wine glasses, smiling at each other under the golden lights. On stage, Taidy stood, holding the Inspirational Person of the Year award. Applause erupted. Tonight, she's at the pinnacle of her life, yet she feels alone in the middle of an unreal party. Host, let's give a round of applause to a woman who inspires the whole city, Taidy. Taidy, smiling, but her eyes are silent. Thank you, everyone. In the shadows of the party, a strange man in a dark gray suit approached. He had unusual eyes, as if he could see through people's hearts. He leaned down and whispered in Taidy's ear, while everyone around them maintained their forced smiles. The laughter still echoed, but she began to hear something different, a voice from another world. The mysterious man, faint but clear. Here, no one is extinguished, because no one is willing to be reborn. Taidy, startled, turning around. What did you say? When she turned again, the man was gone, leaving only a gift box on the table. Taidy opened a small gift box on the table. Inside was a round, transparent mirror that emitted a faint light. As she looked down, she saw multiple reflections of herself superimposed, like several people in one body. A whisper came from within the mirror. A gift not meant for joy, but to remember that the light of fame is merely a superimposed shadow. You are about to learn the meaning of extinction. Taidy muttering to herself, extinction, what does that mean? In the heart of Eterna, early in the morning, the neon lights were still on even after sunrise. Giant billboards displayed images of luxury fashion, but in Taidy's eyes, the letters slowly transformed into a strange message. Extinguish before you are extinguished. She looked around, but people walked past, oblivious, as if they hadn't seen her. A city that doesn't sleep, yet silenter than a dream. Every light is telling a truth no one wants to hear. Taidy, soft but trembling voice. Who wrote this sentence? Pedestrian. Forced smile, responding as if they hadn't heard. Excuse me, who were you speaking to? The main street was filled with crowds walking in unison. Everyone had a smile on their face, but no shadows were cast on the ground. Taidy walked past the people, her heart pounding, feeling as if the whole city was watching her. This city is full of people who don't know they've disappeared. They smile, but there are no shadows, no heartbeats. Taidy muttering to herself, "Why does no one have a shadow?" She looked down at the ground. Her own shadow was still there, but it was beginning to tremble. An old woman's voice in her thoughts. A shadow is the last thing to fade before you understand the meaning of rebirth. Taidy walked into a small, silent coffee shop. She asked the shopkeeper about the old homeless woman she had met that night. The shopkeeper paused for a moment before replying, "In this town, there haven't been people like that for a long time." She turned to the back window. The image in the mirror was of a dark, empty city. There was no one there. Perhaps this town never really existed. Perhaps she was just a part of an advertisement she created herself. Taidy, voice trembling, or am I just a lingering image? The old woman's voice, reflected in the mirror. You are about to see what lies behind the truth. The next morning, the city of Eterna was still brightly lit. Taidy opened the office computer. The employee information displayed everyone's names, except hers. The screen only showed unknown user. She tried asking her colleagues, but they all looked at her with puzzled expressions. In the city that never sleeps, her name has slept deeply forever. No one remembers that Taidy ever existed. Colleague, excuse me, what was your name again? I can't remember. Taidy, soft but steady voice. It's all right. Perhaps I don't need a name. She walked past the bank. The ATM screen showed a balance of 0.00. The billboard that used to feature her had been replaced by a new woman in the same outfit, looking exactly the same, as if she had never existed. People still smiled, laughed, and applauded the new name on the billboard. When what we are is erased from the world's memory, all that remains is our echo in our hearts. Just a name, just an image on a billboard. She looked up at the screen, letting the wind gently caress her hair. But I am still here. In the quiet morning by the river, the first rays of sunlight sparkled on the water's surface. Taidy stood alone, eyes closed, tears streaming down her face, yet a serene smile remained. She chanted a mantra in a clear voice, arising, existing, ceasing. A gentle breeze rustled, reflecting her image on the water, as if the light had dissolved. When the name fades, the body ceases, but the heart remains unwavering. Emptiness becomes freedom. You no longer need to be anyone. Taidy, her voice clear but soft, like a breath. Arising, existing, ceasing. Tears flowed, but her eyes remained calm. This is it, true freedom. In the morning, the same street where Taidy once met the old woman was now warmly illuminated by the sunlight. She walked slowly in silence and saw the old woman sitting on the bench, a familiar smile. The same place, but not the same. Some encounters are not the beginning, but the end, a journey of understanding. Taidy, you are still here? Old woman, gentle smile. I have always been. In every moment, you see the truth. The old woman rose to her feet amidst the light beginning to radiate from her body. She became Taidy in old age,
her face filled with peace and understanding. The two forms of Taidy, young and old, stand facing each other in beautiful silence. In truth, the one who taught us to extinct is another version of ourselves, one who has experienced suffering and come to understand. Old woman, future Taidy, you have cast the spell perfectly. What you have lost is not luck, but bondage. Taidy, young, tears welling up. So all this is liberation? Old woman, smiling. Yes, you have returned to yourself.
The old woman reached out and touched Taidy's cheek. A faint golden light spread around them. The entire city began to melt. The skyscrapers, neon lights, and people turned into luminous dust, floating up into the sky. Only the echoing voice of the incantation remained. Everything that happens awaits its end, and in that end there is a rebirth of a heart no longer bound. Old woman, you will understand when the last thing disappears. Both of them said simultaneously, arise, exist, cease.
Taidy woke up in the middle of a field of soft green grass. A gentle morning breeze blew and the sun rose slowly. The horizon was painted with golden rays of dawn. There were no cars, no billboards, no signs with her name on any of them. She slowly opened her eyes and took a deep breath, like a newborn child discovering the world again. After death, there is rebirth. And this time she was born without a name, without praise, only a gentle breath and a peaceful heart. Taidy, speaking softly, a faint smile. Ultimately, happiness is not about possession, but about letting everything go. Taidy, with her eyes closed, gazed at the sky. Thin clouds drifted by, the golden light fading, leaving only the gentle breeze rustling the grass. A faint whisper of a spell echoed across the field. In a city where everyone seeks immortality, she was the first to accept extinction, and because of that, she was truly reborn. Narrator's voice, soft. Arise, exist, cease. The grass swayed. Golden light streaked through, like the last breath fading into emptiness. Moral of the story: when we receive fortune, fame, praise, and happiness, know that everything arises, exists, and ceases. Casting a spell is not magic to escape reality, but rather a graceful acceptance of reality.